The Draft Lottery, a live report on tonight's picking of the birth dates for the draft. Here at Selective Service Headquarters in Washington is CBS News.
Good evening. It was 29 years ago that the first most famous lottery number, 100.
So what I want to talk about today is the Vietnam era. I've had the pleasure of talking to thousands of Vietnam veterans. These men and women of this era, they're different. To me, this is the best era of human being that is on Earth today. I call them the handshake goes a long way era, right? These guys, these men and women, whatever they said, they meant. Their word was as strong as anything. These are men and women who raised families with morals, values, backbones. The Vietnam War was 20 years long. It was 1955 to 1975. And we sent about 2.7, almost 3 million soldiers to fight in this war. And it was North and South Vietnam. China and Russia were the allies to the North Vietnam, and US and other countries were the allies to the South Vietnam. This war had it all, man. It had crazy at-home politics. It had drug addiction. It had nasty, nasty war tactics. I mean, nasty war tactics. You know, Agent Orange obviously comes from the Vietnam War. Agent Orange, I deal with on a daily basis with my veterans. Agent Orange can cause any nasty diagnosis, symptom you can imagine. We've got guys who, diabetic, which turns to neuropathy, which turns to foot amputation. These guys went through hell. Now, granted, every era has its, exceptions of idiots and morons, but for the most part, these are precious human beings. There was no social media, no instant gratification. They were just themselves, staying in their lane, right? And the crazy thing is when they came home from that war, they were spit on, man. They came home to such a tense United States. We owe these men and women thanks. We owe them advocacy. We owe them any type of self-service, any type of respect. They deserve it, right? This is why I love working with them so much. When I get on the phone with a Vietnam veteran and I tell them that the VA launched a product that makes them pay for premiums for 2 years before the policy kicks in, and I can go find that 75-year-old guy, day one proper coverage that's cheaper than a 2-year waiting period, that is the greatest thing ever. You're allowed to be honest with these guys, and you can be honest with them. You're talking about a 70, 75-year-old person buying life insurance. So it's not like rates are going to be in our favor. If the veteran's getting on the phone and he's like, oh yeah, sweet, I could get $250,000 for $5. Come on, man, let's stop and think about this real quick. And I urge anyone out there who has a career and they come across veterans, any vet, whether it's a 22-year-old kid today who's active and got medically discharged post 9/11, they deserve to be catered to. And that's my true feeling. This is why a ton of veterans come to us for their insurance help, because they know that we're serious about this. We've helped thousands of veterans, and it's given me this different level of respect. There was a draft. These guys sat at home and watched their birthdays basically be called like bingo on TV. Yep, you're going to the middle of the jungle where it's 100 degrees with 100% humidity. Imagine you blink and you're in the middle of the Vietnam War. Forrest Gump to your left, Bubba to your right, zip that. Talk about absolutely mentally challenging yourself. And then when these guys came home, guess what? Forgotten about. Now, one big thing is that a lot of Americans got hooked on opiates while they were over there. I mean, it's everywhere over there. This is all they did. Had poppy fields and made heroin of the purest form. Then they come home. Guess what happens when you do a bunch of opiates for a long, long time? And then you stop doing them. Well, you start withdrawing. None of that mattered to these guys when they came home and they were dope sick. All that mattered was getting the next fix. So they turned to the VA for methadone clinics. That was a total disaster. Our guys were getting shot at in rice paddies while we're celebrating Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. Crazy times, right? Crazy, crazy times. You obviously had the draft lottery. It was 1969. Teenagers watched TV, found out they were going to war. Assassination of MLK and RFK. Yikes, yikes, yikes. 1968. Tie-dye, peace sign, round glasses, long hair. After it ended, these guys had struggles that were out in the open, and they also had the silent struggles, right? Like PTSD wasn't really diagnosed back then. So when I talk to a vet and they have 100% disability and they're the Vietnam era, rarely it's because of PTSD. You had no parades, no clapping, no ceremonies when these guys came home. There was a job shortage when they got home. There was no VA support. But if you can get a Vietnam era veteran day one proper coverage, which means we're saving them probably $2,000 a year financially, you're talking about people that are on Social Security living dollar to dollar. You want to save some vets money? Like, yeah, and protect their family immediately without a 2-year waiting period. That's a no-brainer. A lot of these guys don't have peace of mind. You want to know what's amazing when you talk to these guys and they're like, you just had a normal conversation with us. I have legit peace of mind that I can die peacefully. Now I know that my wife isn't going to struggle or blow through savings or go through all these crazy issues when I die. And this is why I always urge our veterans to talk to a group who's credible, who has reviews, who has helped thousands and thousands of vets, seen every situation, mortgage, no mortgage, kids, no kids, married, not married, health issues, no health issues. If you're sitting out there right now and you have no life insurance, you know for a fact that if you die and don't show up tomorrow, your wife or husband's totally screwed. It is March 29th as I film this. It is Vietnam Veterans Day, so shout out to all the Vietnam veterans out there, all the veterans in general. And my name is Mike DeSecco. I own Timeless Protection, and we protect veterans. We're a group of insurance professionals that basically safeguard consumers, mainly vets, through their insurance process. Not one of you watching this likes to shop for insurance. But if we crash our car, burn our house down, or pass away, we need to make sure that our coverage is on point so our families or our house or our cars are brought back to whole, right? We are known in the veteran community as the group that finds day one coverage for you guys. We break down everything VA and private market so you guys can make the proper choice for your family. Addiction and trauma, right? Heroin epidemic among soldiers. Cheap, accessible, used heavily during downtime. Many got addicted overseas. PTSD and substance abuse. They didn't call it PTSD back then, but it tore through their families. Alcoholism and drug use skyrocketed. Agent Orange exposure. Cancers, birth defects, neurological issues. 2 years ago, the PACT Act went through. Veterans were finally recognized. As the era is dying, they're finally recognized for these types of health issues. I talk to Vietnam veterans all the time who are basically like, I can't get the sound of a Huey helicopter in my head. Those things were used all day, every day out there. VA backlogs and denials. It took one of my relatives 12 years to get to 100% disabled. It was like 10%, then 40, and then it stayed at 60 forever, and then 75, and then boom, finally to 100. The politics behind getting our veterans help, the corruption that goes on, and the spending gets despicable when it comes to our veterans and homeless people, drug addicts. I just did Kensington Avenue. I swear to God, if I had endless funds, I would be just helping vets, drug addicts, and homeless people. Within the hell that they are living in is a person, is someone who played Little League, got really good grades in high school, was a doctor. Society looks at homeless people, they look at drug addicts like they're just pieces of dirt. And how do I know this? Well, I was one of them. I was homeless. I was a drug addict. I am a drug addict forever. Doesn't mean I'm active, right? So that's the key there. My fiance yells at me when I'm like, no, like I'm an addict, because she's never seen that person, but I can't forget that person, right? What was the Vietnam War about? A war fought to stop the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. America's role, we officially entered in the early 60s. Peak troop count 540,000 in 1969. Almost 60,000 Americans lost their lives. 300,000+ wounded. Many came back addicted, broken, and ignored. PTSD not diagnosed. They were told to man up and move on. Alcohol, opiates, and pain. No Instagram support. No therapy TikToks. Just silence, alcohol, opiates, and pain. The war was first seen on TV. Americans watched in horror nightly. Massive anti-war protests erupted across our country. Soldiers felt demonized, not honored. Wasn't their choice to go over there. Half of them were sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs, barely out of puberty, for God's sakes, and they got sent. Alcohol, heroin, isolation, and the VA failed a generation of warriors. You are engaging in the nastiest warfare, absolutely forgotten about when you got home, and you were hated. U.S. pulled out 1973. Saigon fell in 1975. The war was lost. The environment was the first enemy, meaning thick, humid jungles. Not one clear battle line. I was talking about this with a Vietnam vet the other day. He was like, dude, you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. 100 degrees, constant rain, mosquitoes, snakes, leeches, tarantulas. Soldiers carrying 60 to 90 pounds of gear through mud and tangled brush. Visibility just a few feet in front of you sometimes. Viet Cong filled the jungle with traps designed to maim and terrify. Homemade but lethal traps hung from trees. One wrong step could cost you your legs, your squad, or your life. Let me tell you what, man. The invisible enemy. The Viet Cong wore no uniforms. Could be farmers by day, fighters by night. Tunnel systems, vanishing underground after ambushes. American troops often fought without knowing where the hell the enemy was. Like, you can't be normal after that. I don't care who you are. Who would ever be normal after that? You're sitting there right now in your cushy little recliner, flipping through Instagram, looking at stupid reels of cats and all these people cleaning carpets that are caked in mud. What is that anyways? What is that? Psychological warfare. Patrols were constant. Sleep was rare. Every noise could be death. Soldiers lived in a state of constant paranoia and hypervigilance. So imagine you just get off patrol, you sit down, you hear trees snap, you have no idea what the hell it is, and then you're breathing in Agent Orange, and God, what a nasty, nasty, nasty place to be. Tons of airstrikes, napalm drops, and artillery bombs. Let's run through some quotes really quick. We didn't fight for our country. We fought for the guy next to us. I died in Vietnam, but no one told me. They just forgot to bury me. Coming home was worse than the war. At least in Vietnam, I knew who the enemy was. By the end of Vietnam, the divorce rate jumped to 25%. Divorce rate in 2025, 40 to 45% of marriages end in divorce. The reason why the VA launched a life insurance plan for final expenses was because the Vietnam era is dying. And a lot of these guys don't have life insurance, which leaves their family screwed. It's just not right that we have a whole era of the last true blue era in our country right now that wasn't blinded by technology. My era growing up, video games were kind of big when I was growing up. Nintendo came out. That was like the end of the world. I'm putting myself in the shoes or boots of a soldier, and you wake up in the morning, super hot. You gotta go do your patrol or your mission. Your feet are like rotting because they're always wet. And then you get home and you have people calling you names. You are judged. You're the worst human ever. Yet you just watched your brothers die next to you in ways people can't even imagine. So you've got people yelling at you who would completely fold and crumble if they were stuck in the situation that you just left. But I love the Vietnam era vet, the overall morals, values, the moral compass of this generation. Don Shipley, he's an ex-SEAL who outs other SEALs. And I actually listen to this guy all the time because we talk to 30, 40 vets a piece a day, and we get fed lines of complete bullcrap. Some of these guys are like, oh yeah, I was in the Army, I was a Green Beret, and then I got recruited to the CIA, and then I was a Navy SEAL, and I doubt it. We want to make sure at my company that these vets that are passing away can at least do it with dignity. They can go out in a prideful manner, and that their families can rest easy, that they're not going to have to dive into their own savings accounts, borrow money, leave the house that they're currently in. There's so much to think about that goes on after someone dies. And that's when someone actually is like, oh, life insurance would have made a whole lot of sense. Because if you all knew that you were going to die tomorrow, you would buy life insurance right now. Now, unfortunately, a percentage of people are going to die tomorrow. And if they don't have life insurance, they're not leaving their family any type of peace of mind or shot. They're just going to blow through their money. Funerals right now are 10 grand. Everything is working against everybody right now. This is just a group of people that we need to share and celebrate because they're just amazing human beings. If you're struggling out there with mental health, if you are hurting, if you are dope sick, if you are thinking of pawning your wife's wedding ring, if you are thinking of stealing, if you are thinking of doing something terrible so that you don't have to deal with this stuff anymore, I can promise you that it's only physical and mental warfare for about 7 or 8 days. And then after that, yeah, it won't be great in the beginning, but the worst will be over. And you're on your way to the life you deserve, the life you should have. So call somebody, talk to somebody, get to a detox, take care of yourselves. We all want to have longevity. Lucky for us, we're not sent to the middle of the jungle to have bullets zipping past us, snakes crawling on us, all the other silent killers out there. So we're blessed. Be humble, be grateful, don't take it for granted. And if you're hurting out there, let's get it moving, let's get it fixed, and let's live life. All right, guys, thank you so much. Love you.